favorite VTuber Catgirl could go extinct in the next few years, hunted and shot to the death by the evil credit card companies like Mastercard and Visa. On the right side, your Catgirls could be safe as long as they don't upload any NSFW content. Recently, one of the most used platforms for paid NSFW VTuber content banned the tag Catgirls, puppy girls, or literally any type of cute human/animal tags that VTubers are really known for, all according to this message from their support team. Or maybe they didn't, because I also just found this contradicting that same exact statement that was made. It really does seem to me like their own staff don't even know what type of content is allowed on their site anymore. Like, for real, there are like 5,000 different VTuber fox girls, but yeah, we all know I am the best one. And some of them are actually being forced to jump ship to other sites like Patreon. Now, why would the platform that originally welcomed VTubers with open arms suddenly being hostile towards them? The answer is a little bit long and there's big history to it. Companies like Mastercard and Visa have policies in place for what content is allowed to be used with their services. To really understand the context why, it's time to rewind the clock all the way back to the dark times. The times where modern VTubing had its initial boom. The times when VR chat creators started to go viral. A time where we were all losing our minds panicking about what's to come. The year 2020. 2020 was the year when the world's 9th most visited website, The Hub, lost 60% of their content overnight. This was because the company behind the major corn websites, MindGeek, was pressured to delete all of their unverified content to try and not lose their main way that they handled their payment services. The payment processors pulled out because they did not want to be held accountable for sex trafficking. You see, the main way the platform used to operate back then was as a giant hub. Yeah, I mean, it's quite literally in its name. A giant hub of filmed corn that could be uploaded by anyone who had a simple email address. This worked in the hub's favor to be able to create a massive amount of publicly available corn to generate revenue for themselves off of free videos. As you might have guessed, this led to many instances of illegal stuff like abuse and non-consenting content to get through, which led to many instances of trauma for those actually involved. Getting your content down from these sites is actually extremely hard/impossible, since anyone can just upload whatever they like, so the prosecutors came up with a solution. Instead of targeting just one company and getting them all to comply, why not just target the way they handle their money, which is way easier than going after each individual company worldwide. Thus, payment processors were forced to give up their super lucrative business model of corn under the threat of legal action. Their solution to this problem was verification. Verification is a very, very good thing that stops people from being exploited in a non-consensual way. The problem is now that credit card companies are overstepping their boundaries between what is legal and what is illegal because they are simply incompetent in their job. This, tying in with people calling for per video verification, could significantly harm the livelihoods of everyone who works in the industry. How long will it be until they start deciding that VTubers are no longer consenting beings, since we can't see their actual face, to verify it's really them and start banning them? That might sound crazy, but according to these rules written by Fansly, they can literally outlaw someone in a full furry suit, for example, a Barney dinosaur outfit that's making corn, because it would be called reality. But Tiva, what does any of this have to do with my VTuber Catgirls? Well, if you just wait a moment, I'll get to it. Fansly recently banned a large amount of furries from the platforms. This means that specifically our anthropomorphic furry friends can no longer make content on the sites. This is a super unpopular move because it basically displaced hundreds of creators and forced them to either completely rebrand or lose a piece of their livelihood. Even larger creators like BuffPup were affected by this. In their own terms, only
Kemonomimi.
which are people like me who have simple ears and a tail. Apparently, they place all the blame on the credit card companies for this decision. They do this because they classify some anthro content as beastie. So there's a couple of things that I noticed that are super interesting about this whole situation. Fansly themselves blame credit card companies purely for this decision, and I've looked everywhere, and I cannot find a single publicly published piece from Mastercard or Visa talking about what they would classify as bestiality. I'm assuming they are treating it as an illegal type of and it's subject to the discretion of whatever executive think is okay. This is a real problem that a lot of creators have when a website decides to censor its creators. Their reasoning for regulating that specific content is drifting away from the original reason why the more intense scrutiny is actually happening. Now all of this really does suck for our little furry friends. They have been forced to move to other websites like Patreon since Fansly no longer allows them to exist. But that doesn't mean that Fansly gets out of this scot-free though. How come Patreon, which also takes payments from Mastercard and Visa, is allowing that site to operate with specific guidelines that protect furry content? In my opinion, something just isn't adding up, and there is no way to really look at what rules these credit card companies are directly enforcing themselves. The card companies aren't just processing payments anymore. They are dictating online adult culture through vague policies and unaccountable pressure. If all these platforms give in to it sooner or later, it won't just be Catgirls. It can be anyone who creates content. And if all the rules are secret, how can you really be expected to play the game? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm so sorry about taking so long for another video, but here it is now. Yeah, bye guys. Mwah.